Welcome to the Envelope's Emmy Contender Series. I'm Glenn Whipp, and today we are talking to Sarah Silverman, who stars, hosts, creates, writes.
I mean, there aren't even enough fingers for what I do.
Stop short of directing. The brilliant I Love You, America.
I made him add the brilliant.
Ad-lib there. Hi.
Hi.
So all this started with Mr. Rogers. I've heard you say.
I like to think of it like that, like a Mr. Rogers for adults.
Yeah, because you mention it quite often. If it's not mentionable, if it's mentionable, it's manageable. If it's not mentionable, then kind of screwed.
Everything is mentionable, and if it's mentionable,
yeah.
it's manageable.
I would say that if you demonstrated one thing in the 10-episode first season, it's that everything is mentionable.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that was like the whole point.
I grew up in a household where everything was mentionable.
Yeah. So why
Sounds
not
like the
carry
beginning
that
of a
through?
longer story, but it wasn't. Sorry.
And have you seen the Mr. Rogers documentary?
Not only have I seen, the film.
Yeah.
No, because I was in
Won't You Be My Neighbor?
the one that Michael Keaton hosted.
No, this is one that's coming in theatrical.
No, I haven't seen it yet. I'm so excited.
Because it was interesting because like at the end, Mr. Rogers passes away.
Spoiler!
Spoiler, he's not with us anymore. Well, he is with us, always. And then at his memorial, the members of the Westboro Baptist Church are across the street, like protesting. Mm-hmm. And I was watching that, and then I couldn't help but think of your show, because episode 1, 2?
Episode 1.
Yeah.
Megan Phelps Roper, who grew up in the Westboro Baptist Church. It's all she knew. It's everything she loved. And she ended up leaving it after a couple years of being in charge of their social media. It was the first time she conversed with others. And there were people who were nasty to her. I could have been one of them, maybe even perhaps, I don't know.
Yeah.
But a couple people were warm and open and had a conversation with her, and that's what opens people's eyes, not the stuff that puts your porcupine needles up. When you're on the defensive, you can't be open to other people's thoughts or ideas or experience. So I think with this show, mostly we want to just, I want to have our defenses. I always say porcupine needles, but because that's how I think of it. But our defenses.
It's a great image.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And you can really visualize what it is kind of internally, and how closed we all get when our defenses are up, because we're in protective mode. We're turtles and putting our heads into our shells.
What kind of response did you get? I mean, the season ended around Christmas, right? So It's been a few months. How do you feel about it?
Great. I mean, I hope that more people see it. It's hard to do 10 episodes, and then that's over the course of 2.5 months,
right.
And then the rest of the year happens, and we just want more at bats. We want to be in front of your face more, and we're excited to do 11 more.
So second season, there's like a bonus episode.
There's a bonus episode that we had to figure out with the budget and show them we could afford it. Because it's not an expensive show in terms of, it's not Game of Thrones, but we travel places and stuff, so it's also not just me in front of a green screen, which a lot of these shows are, great shows too, but because we go places, we have to justify our cost. Yeah. I think it is doing good things. I think people enjoy it.
Did you hear from people, like any of the families or firemen, fire people, any of those people that you interviewed in the field pieces? Did you hear from them, like what kind of responses they had to the show?
Yeah, a bit, especially the country music one, where I went to Nashville and I wrote a song, and that songwriter, Lee Thomas Miller, we've remained really good friends. And he's also very political, and I think he identifies more as a Republican, but I look at him and I say, you're a liberal. And I think that so many times we're just kind of what we were raised, but the values are the same. Listen, it's different with Trump's administration, and I don't have the same compassion with the people that I see as wealth addicts, who are kind of just like faceless conglomerates, and the people that support them that are keeping billionaires from having to pay taxes and all those things. I remember Gary Shandling explained to me in 2007, it was right before the banks collapsed, he said that this country is being run by people who they're addicted to wealth. And so it's like we're giving a bunch of cokeheads a mountain of cocaine and saying, divide this among your people evenly. And it resonates with me so much today because I really see it.
But those aren't the people that you had.
No,
Yeah.
what I'm talking about are just people, are actual constituents, are just human people, not Citizens United people who aren't actual people. They're faceless conglomerates that human people are attached to, but that I don't see as much as peers in this world.
It's hard to hug a conglomerate.
Yeah, it's just, Citizens we're live and now I'm just taking it a million ways, but Citizens United almost single-handedly is the demise of our democracy because it's enabling billionaires to inform policy directly. But my show is funny and much more simple. I honestly, it's important to me to.
It's like
I
you
like
have
speaking.
to emphasize this, don't you?
There's nothing demeaning in me saying I like to talk simply because I think all these complex things could be spoken about simply, and I do think that on the left, especially, but on both sides, people use jargon. And jargon by nature is elitist because it's designed to be just for the people of that, there's coal miner jargon, there's politics jargon, there's, all that stuff. And see, I didn't say and there's no reason for it. There's no reason to not speak simply in ways that everyone can understand. And there's nothing lowest common denominator about that to me. The Dalai Lama doesn't talk with using big words that not everyone understands. You either want more people to understand what you're saying or less people to understand what you're saying, I think.
Like when you were planning the show and you planning these field pieces, I'm used to, when I first watched, I'm used to Daily Show field pieces. And basically those are designed to go out and have conversations with people, but they're also kind of letting the people incriminate themselves with their words.
The Daily, I'm sorry, I didn't mean
No, and that's the kind of field piece I'm so used to seeing.
Right, and
you took it a
I
different
love those.
way.
I love those field pieces, and I think they're great. But it isn't what I wanted to do, and it's actually it is more challenging. They kind of are able to script their field pieces before they even happen because they're gonna get the answer they want. That is the comedic answer they're looking for in some way.
Right.
And I'm aligned with them politically, so I find it funny and it's, I like it. But this show is not, and I hate using a Sarah Palin term, but it isn't like gotcha comedy. It is more, listen, the first family I went to visit, I had family dinner with a family in Chalmette, Louisiana, who all voted for Trump and had to Google what a Jew was.
I read that, and that's really true?
It is really true, but listen, they live in a town where they don't come across Jews. It's not like I grew up and I never came across, I'm sure, entire kinds of people from Chalmette. So I don't hold that against them. I thought it was charming and loving and lovely and honest.
They're looking to connect.
They said, we Googled it. And she goes, did you know Adam Levine is one? I said, I did know that. That sounded condescending, but it was, and I guess it was, but it was funny and endearing. And yeah, they may incriminate themselves in that she, crapped all over the Affordable Care Act, and then it became very clear that they were, that was
Right.
their insurance, and they don't realize it. But I think that comes just as much from misinformation. I don't know. We
Yeah,
kind of let that just sit. We didn't
You
correct
let
it.
sit. And whereas in the Daily Show, there'd be a beat and you'd see the interviewer's face kind of going,
And maybe I would do that. But I didn't because I wanted them to feel safe, and I didn't want to trick them, and I felt like the audience will see the truth, and it would maybe start a conversation that I didn't have to be a part of, So that was a moment of restraint, because subsequently we kind of toiled over, well, should we put a chyron up that points it out or anything, and we just decided to leave it.
I think that was the right idea.
You do, Glenn?
Because that's what you're going for in the show, right? You're
Yeah,
trying to
listen,
have,
I
and I think it's the hardest thing right now in our United States of America, trying to have these conversations. But I find it's the same way like when I'll write about, say, race or something in a story, and I'll get these angry, hateful emails, and then I'll respond to them if it's like an actual human being, as opposed to like.
I was coughing. If you cough
little
often, a
atmospheric.
coffin, they'll carry you often.
But I have found that if you respond to the email and just say, thanks for your email, and here's what I'm thinking with this, and then they'll write back, and it'll be just like the beginning of a dialogue.
Because more than anything, I think people want to feel seen, and they want to feel heard. And I'm not saying that, I'm saying that includes us.
Sure.
And so I like engaging, especially if someone is open. And sometimes they become open just from engaging, like if you earnestly engage. And, it's like I've done stand-up since I was a kid, and so I have an understanding of hecklers. And to me, everything a heckler says, the subtext of it is, I exist, right? And that's something that is so heartbreaking and sad and beautiful to me. And I do think that the more we see ourselves in each other, the less we are in danger of being these kind of divided entities that don't see each other as human. And when you don't see each other as human, you can do very inhumane things towards each other.
When did you have that realization about hecklers? How long did that take?
Probably in the past decade.
Yeah.
I started really, when I started thinking of my childhood and thinking of school and thinking of teachers and people saying, he just wants attention, don't give it to him.
Right.
And feeling that that's a heartbreaking thought, It's maybe the two most heartbreaking sentences that a grown-up says to children, And I started getting into, I was telling this to these guys today, I started getting into Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street again in high school. And I watched it before school, and I just thought, whoa, I saw it in a deeper way, And when I say my show is like Mr. Rogers for adults, Mr. Rogers is for adults, because adults are like kids plus time. And unless you've done incredible amounts of looking inward, we're still have a lot to learn, you know. I mean, I wish there was like a bat signal for Mr. Rogers and Phil Donahue, because I think we could use them right now.
On Thanksgiving, one of the LA PBS stations was showing like a Mr. Rogers marathon. And I was like making some side dish or something, but then I just like sat down because I was like, oh, this is really soothing, and hearing Mr. Rogers again,
So, let's get into you making a side dish. What side dish were you making? Do you just sit at home and make side dishes?
It was Thanksgiving. I'm helping out.
Oh, you're making a side dish. You're making like a
Yeah, the turkey's in
the
the
sweet
oven.
potato with the marshmallow.
This was Brussels sprouts
Gross.
with, give me a chance here, with like walnuts and red grapes.
Oh, that does sound very good.
Okay.
I like Brussels sprouts. I was just giving you a
if
comedic
If you
reaction.
roast them, they're good. Don't boil them. You grew up with Brussels sprouts.
I mean, I should have. I
Boiled,
grew up in farmland, you know,
Yeah.
but it was more like cukes. Cukes were big, tomatoes.
Yeah.
Blueberries just grew wild in New Hampshire. We would just take blueberries off the side of the street and eat them.
It sounds like paradise.
It was paradise.
Blueberries.
We are
So,
live on Facebook
yeah.
Live.
talking about blueberries and Brussels sprouts.
I mean-
Do you have plans for season 2, like things that you want to do different, lessons that you've learned?
Yes, well, it's just to just do 10 and then just do another 10. I mean, there's so much we want to change and, reconfigure and figure out. And, so I think we will do kind of half field pieces and half pre-taped sketches, more like when bumping into Jesus at a sandwich shop, which I did with Fred Armisen. And
Jesus was
also-
a big fan of House.
I don't know why. I just thought, can he be wearing a house hat, like the rap gift, like inner house sanctum house hat?
Jesus loved House, not so big on prayers and thoughts.
But he loved every movie equally. Did you see? I don't know. He was very funny. We did a lot of.
that was good.
We did a lot of improvising. But yeah, so we'll do like half and half of that. The monologues will stay. They will remain to be about more of the symptoms of how we are where we are. And then what we're gonna do is like a mini log, this is the plan, where day of we shoot a couple minutes of me kind of, I don't wanna say hot takes, but that seems to be how to describe what we're saying.
Yeah.
Kind of on what's going on in the news that day. And do a cold open of that, so that it's me taking in the information, talking about it, processing it, and where I'm at that point. Maybe my thoughts or my opinion will change 2 days later. I don't know, but that will be that moment as a cold open.
How did you decide, like, your interview subjects? Because they were all, like, really good. I mean, and you'd be interviewing them and just kind of, like, getting emotional while the interview was happening.
I am changed by each interview. I mean, I can almost, like, pinpoint the places, like when Megan Phelps Roper said these people who are susceptible to extremism aren't crazy necessarily. They're just people who in a vulnerable time were swayed by bad ideas. And even when she said that, I thought, really? And then I looked at who I was talking to, and she's an example of that. And then Christian Picciolini, who was a skinhead, who probably did atrocious things and is now changed many years, for the past 20, 30 years, and now helps people get out of extremist groups.
That was a good interview.
Yeah.
How did you find him? Like,
He wrote a book, and we have an incredible producer, Megan Rady, who's a genius and comes from news. But he, I asked him what advice, if you were to give, advice, he said, find someone who doesn't deserve your compassion and give it to them. Because that's what happened to him, and he was forever changed. And I mean, like love is the answer sounds corny, but it's extremely true and could probably easily be proven in a scientific lab.
Mr. Rogers was saying that, right?
Yeah.
Proving it, saying it, living
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Father Gregory Boyle,
Yeah.
another great one. Got me really into Jesuits. Because they're like intellectual Catholics. And they don't go by the book like it's, they see the Torah, I almost said, the Bible as something to be interpreted,
Yeah.
with each day. And he said, if we don't, well, I'm not going to say it perfectly, but it basically, like, if we don't make peace with our own wounds, then we will be tempted to despise the wounded. And I think of that every day. I mean, wow, that's cool.
So the show did change you doing this, like you had these moments where like you this
Fully.
changed, yeah.
And I am excited
Which
to
is pretty
do
cool.
episodes that kind of where I can use myself as an example of having been completely changed.
And you were having all these, discussions, open-ended kind of things. The one thing that you would not abide is the war on Christmas. That's like, okay, I can't have an open mind on the war on Christmas.
Well, it's the.
I loved how you listed all the songs. That
What do
have
you
been-
think Jews don't like about Christmas? The residuals on every Christmas song.
And then you named them all. I was like, that's a lot of songs.
And there were more. There are even more.
yeah.
I mean, just Jews write Christmas songs.
They have nothing against Christmas.
That's all Jews do. All right, no, that's not true. Live, Sarah. Don't
Hey,
say because it's a swear. Can we talk about that though? It's a 4-letter word, and all it means is poop. Duty, feces, poop, feces, poop, crap. They all mean only that. So why is that one a swear? It's
Yeah.
just something from a long time ago that we accepted and never re-examined. It's silly.
You've thought deeply on this.
Well, I haven't thought that deeply, but I mean,
But that was the other thing is like, one of the early episodes, we all love our families. We all have friends that we care about, and we all have embarrassing stories about
duty. I mean, to me, defecating is 1,000 times grosser of a word than
defecating. Yes.
defecating.
Sounds like a very involved process, but you demonstrated that commonality.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you can bond about anything,
Yeah.
then you're home free. Then you see yourselves in each other, and you can talk about other stuff. So it's like, I'm not looking to. One thing I learned doing this show, and I've said this a lot, is nobody's minds are changed, oddly, by facts or polls, by having facts spewed at them or polls. They feel judged, or they dig in deeper often. People are only changed by feelings.
So are you saying scientists, what do scientists do?
No,
that?
I'm very much into facts and I care about
Yeah.
what is true. But in general, you're not going to change someone's mind by spewing facts at them.
They're changed by.
I'm not saying that facts aren't important.
Okay.
I believe facts. That's why I'm just like, what does Snopes say? Because it's sometimes the only place where I can find what is true, or the LA Times.
Thank you.
Glenn
All right.
Whip.
We have these questions we're asking everybody.
Okay.
It's called a lightning round. What was the last show?
You
that
can't do a lightning round.
Why is that?
Because
Too-
you speak
too-
very
too chill?
slow and methodical, and you look like you're always high, even though you probably are never high. You have that look.
Yeah.
Do you get that a lot?
The high thing?
Yeah, that you look stoned.
Yeah.
Are you stoned? Sometimes people like you are
before-
stoned all the time. I don't know.
You know, we're going to just move on here to the
Okay.
lightning round
Yes.
with this.
Don't talk about real stuff. No, what was real about that? You have stoner eyes. A lot of people do who don't do
Yeah.
drugs that
What-
are legal. Sorry, go. Zip.
So it's really nice talking to you, Diddy.
Did we decide I just use all the time up?
No, what was the
20
what was the
seconds.
last show that you binge watched?
I just last night got caught up on The Americans. But
Okay.
I'm watching Handmaid's Tale. Homeland is so good this season.
Haven't watched.
Oh my God.
I need to. Yeah. I've
Really?
heard. Okay.
Yeah.
If you could go back and be on any TV show ever, what would it be?
Taxi. I don't know.
Yeah, driving
that
a
was
cab
just-
around New York and
I just love Taxi.
dealing with
I
Louis.
mean, everything looking back is very white, so it's hard. I see it with new eyes. But I did love Taxi.
A lot of people watch TV to unwind. What do you do to unwind?
I watch TV, but I don't tend towards comedy because that can be stressful for me. Either it's like I don't like it and it makes me mad, or I love it and it makes me a little frustrated. You know, so I like dramas, I like murder, I like thrillers, I like mystery, I like anything Law and Order, I like anything like procedural. I really watch everything.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for coming in today.
Hey, we did it.
We did it. We
That
only had a
lightning round
couple of.
was really something.
Are you okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you?
It's like the what were we talking about with your dog and the fireworks? It's like the blanket. What'd you call it?
It's called a thunder shirt.
Thunder shirt. Yeah. You don't need a thunder shirt after that lightning round. Are you okay?
Oh my God. Now that I'm piecing it back, that was a good joke.
I was really calling it back. All right. All right. For more of these conversations, please go to latimes.com. Thanks for watching.